Hound, just me, Stephen Simpson, Chris, the Chipmunk, Joe Russ, Miles Bancroft. I know that Furbear was here, as was Mouse, Hunkler Etta, Phil in the Kitchen, Justin Thomas, the Habitat Fox, aka Benji. Are we all here? I think we're all here. I do have something orange for you, Benji Fox. It's an orange jelly baby, and now it is gone. Mmm. Frank says, today I did get an advertisement. I did not get an advertisement. That's fine though. China North Air Guns, you've just reminded me there's a box of candy from you here that I should be indulging into. Sebla says, fuck YouTube. Why? We can hear the 50 hours. You can hear the compressor. 1 minute, please. And now you can no longer hear the compressor. So, ultimately, who was it that ate jelly babies? Doctor Who ate jelly babies. I also saw Scruff Dog here. Scruff Dog was playing a game earlier on which involved a cat exploring a 3D environment. It would have been good in virtual reality. Let us sterilise with ultraviolet because while there are still diseases going around, and this is what sets the thumbnail of the video apparently. Scanning. It sees the significant change and decides that is going to be the thumbnail because obviously something really special happened at that point. Yes, we scanned with ultraviolet. Do you know where I'm not going to take this? Over to the MBC and then wave it in the direction of where June sits at his computer. That, in the dark, that might reveal stains. So greeting, Liz Edwards. So clean indeed. Do the first show, Kayla Limiax, because she'll be able to wear what we want at all times. I don't even know who that is or whatever. First, Yegorinian though. Tricky. I'm going to have to, hold on. I'm going to have to research this. Quite an important one. Let's get the right button here. 1 moment, please. Can you blow up Mr. Bunnykins? Mr. Bun Buns blew up. There is no Mr. Bun Buns left. I could have just asked you guys, you'd have known. Okay. Nick Holonyak. I hope I've pronounced that correct. I think it's Nick Holonyak. Nick Holonyak, who made the first breakthrough, the significant breakthrough in usable LEDs, has just died. And you're thinking, that means that LEDs aren't that old in relative terms to the inventor of LEDs. Thank you, Slonik. Much appreciated. Need to blow something up for Halloween. We normally actually, round about Halloween, we have our equivalent of Independence Day, and we actually pretend to blow up the English government. That's what we do at Halloween. Well, Guy Fawkes, it's the 5th of November. The Chipmunk says to the inventor of the smoke emitting diode, that was an unexpected side effect. He must have been watching the evolution of LEDs from the start to the point that they're the main light source around you. That must feel quite good. I wonder what sort of state of mentality he was in. Right, tell you what, I'm just going to do that message now, since apparently I've been started at the beginning when I refresh the page. If you are just joining the stream, make sure you've not been started at the beginning and you're way along at the end, because otherwise, if you check down there, there's a little red dot appears that says live. Mine is not lit at the moment. 1 moment, please. It is now. It's live. Let's check the latency. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 seconds? I think we can do better than that. We'll check it later on. He probably did feel enlightened, Cozzy. Line me up blowing up the government. Absolutely wheelie McHaggish, especially right now. They've gone into full self-destruct in Britain mode. mass, just ridiculous tax breaks for the billionaires and companies and all the fraudsters, and they've also removed the cap off bankers' bonuses, so they don't need to give any interest anymore. Congratulations, you stupid bitch. Prime Minister of Britain, but not an elected Prime Minister of Britain. Well, there you go. It's all gone. Trust is Thatcher and speed, indeed Callum Rowley. It's just not helping the country. But anyway, this is what happens. That's politics. Stephen Simpson, you can join in the blow up the government queue, but ultimately the first person who gets there, well, the Queen never did anything about that anyway, Peter Stevens. If she'd been a proper militant Queen, she would have stepped in and had the entire government executed. But anyway, let's change this subject. Bitch count 1, indeed, Arthur 2 Sheds Jackson. It is a violent rant, Steve. It's just, that's how most people feel in Britain right now. But on a plus note, if you live in America, you'll be glad to know it's never been cheaper to come to the UK because you'll get a very, very good exchange rate, owing to the fact the pound is very weak against the dollar, as they say. This, I did try turning the new supercomputer down, but it's still quite spicy on the camera. I wonder if this is just because the LEDs are very close together, but it's got the little voltage regulator back on it, but it's basically a fraction of a turn between off and just like swamping out. It has a white outer line of LEDs, and it has a fill of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and pink LEDs. It looks quite nice, but it's not showing up that well. I think we can do something better about this. You're going to have to wait and see it. Time to buy the pound and wait for it to flip. Yes, Jonathan Hughes. Or sell dollars while the value of the pound is relatively low. Can I get this a little bit closer? Is it going to show better if I bring it closer? No. No, it's not. What if, hold on. I think I know what to do. If I can actually find something like that. Something to mute it. An attenuating plastic film. Will this make it more visible? If I hold this in front of it. Yeah, it kind of does. It kind of lets you see the LEDs in there. I can't really turn it down anymore. I think it's just because it's so densely packed. Yeah, and the little voltage regulator could have done with a multi-turn preset on it, but it's not. It's just it's quite a tricky one. Densely packed bright LEDs, but I shall work on it. Yes. What about an anti-static bag? Indeed, well, I'll just stuff the whole anti-static bag over it then. Hold on. Will it fit? This is an anti-static bag. Will it fit or not? No, it's not going to fit in the anti-static bag. Right, tell you what then, abandon. No, it might just go over. That'll do. I shall attenuate with a neutral density filter. Is that going to work? That's kind of working. It's better. So it's the orange LEDs. The orange LEDs are in it. You can see them, just they're not very differential. Needs both layers. It does need both layers, but it's improved. You can see coloured swirls. They are just single colour LEDs, flashing LEDs. Who's saying the Minecraft character? I bought that, Miles Bancroft. I saw it locally in the shop, the little Minecraft Steve, and to be honest, it's got an LED inside it, but the LED is down here shining into the head, and it means you get a big bright dot here, and it doesn't really illuminate the head very well. It's not well designed. It's also got one of those super flickery switches that if you touch it at all, it flickers. It could do with improvement, but to be honest, it's better just off. That's gives a better image anyway. It's also glued together, which does slightly preclude easy... Take it apart, it's not screwed together without bursting it. We can improve, Steve. I do not play Minecraft, I just want to say, but I do occasionally watch videos of people playing it and notice it divides into two groups. The gamers who play it And the engineers who build Minecraft, they go in and create themselves a virtual environment and just build and dig all day. Modded Minecraft it's a virtual reality for engineers. It's a virtual land. Like, is Other Life, Second Life? Second Life. No microcomputer. Oh, there is no computer on, being worn at the moment. Much prefer Roblox to Minecraft. I shall pop a little computer on. Oh, they're super hot lady gamers. I don't know about that. There we go. There is a computer on. I don't know if Mouse has resolved the issue he had with Etsy taking these down because kids might open them up and take the battery out them and eat it. Thank you, Simon Allen. I've just realised you're back home. I am indeed. I've only been back about a week. Frankowork says, I didn't understand Minecraft. There is that reference to Minecraft on Rick and Morty which says it's for autistic people and that's why Rick loves it. I think there's a bit of Rick in all of us, isn't there? Norm Swan says, I don't know Minecraft, but I still have no life. Well, that depends if you're trying to live up to the expectations of other people. If you are, then don't. Just enjoy your own life. Yeah, everything is well with Ralph's been travelling at the moment. I think he's in Glasgow at the moment, Scott Bagley. I popped over to look after his cats, which were fine. Although I do notice they've got sheep ticks. I'm going to have to get a tick hook. I was looking around for one. Unfortunately, that's one of the perils of living in the countryside. Ticks. But that's the peril of cats running around in fields. The cats are just total affection monsters. They're, despite the fact they're violent little death killers when they're for local rodents, they are just super, ultra friendly. Mouse says, I'm still working out what to do with these discarded lithium batteries I keep finding on the roadside. To be honest, pair them up in parallel, add one of the little protected circuit boards, and then put a plug and socket on it. And for LED lights, you can run strings of LED lights for quite a long time off those batteries. That's how I've been testing the charge capacity, and the charge capacity of that pack is still around about 508 milliamp hour. They are holding their charge very well. Do sheep ticks produce wool? No, they produce Lyme's disease in humans. Castle-like women, they're nice to you to get fed Voltar 2M stereo. Well, I thought that, and I fed the kitties, and they just still couldn't get enough attention. They are just attention whores, little cats. They're great. There is a stream tonight. There is a stream, Gamage Mart. I found my first disposable vape at Cardgon over at Tony Weaver's. Don't pick up the ones that are squished. The lithium cells are potentially damaged inside and are better left alone. ELW says, I'll send you a video on the portable power supply, but need to finish up some minor scraps, and then I'll ask your opinion if that's okay. Indeed. Only if the tick is infected, but yes, Rob Worrell. Yes, indeed. There you have to play safe. Greetings back to Sherwood Forest, Spider Driver Lee. Vape cells, 7,000 milliamp hour? No. 500 to 1,500 milliamp hour if it's the standard disposable vapes. White Sapphire says, there's no such thing as sheep ticks or just ticks. They are indeed, and they'll attach themselves to anything except even humans. We always had that doubt if my mum had been bitten by a tick, because she was out in the garden and she came out in the rash that spread from an insect bite point out over a large area of her body. And then the Alzheimer's came after that, very closely after that. And we always were left in doubt, because although I raised it early on, they weren't taking Lyme's serious at that time, largely because all the hypochondriacs had jumped on and cheapened the situation there. And they weren't helpful. But that's okay. Technically speaking, William Wallace, you could um, stack disposable vape cells to power a e-bike. Yes, it would require quite a lot. Thank you, David Aylward. I appreciate that you like the content. So I'm late. Please continue, Steve Brace. We shall continue. Blair Scootin, I think there's just, if someone gets bitten by a tick and they show that reaction, they just pepper them with antibiotics now as a precaution. John Mock, you'd think the waste of good lipo batteries would be against some form of regulations. It certainly would with me. But what we're talking about is governments that don't govern. So it doesn't happen. Now, people saying, I wish they didn't throw them into the street. That's fine by me, because then we can pick them up. I did notice it's becoming harder and harder to find them. Now, Steve Perry, you say you're looking for lithium filament so you can 3D print your own batteries. There are supposedly plastic batteries being developed, and it's always hard determining whether it's real or fake. It's coming from MIT, as many people say it's coming from MIT, etc., or MIT connections. But it looks like it could be real, but the capacity is not as high as lithium. It's they say between half and fifth. Let's go with fifth, shall we? And they say things like that because that's quite a wide range. But even with a fifth the capacity, it's still fine. It's much safer apparently than lithium, and it's readily available material-wise. Franco Walker's been making a 3-in-1 guitar pedal. Reasonable enough. What's the weather like in man? Getting close to operating? Yes, Kieran Kennedy. It is getting cooler, which is good. Do you think there's a link from Lyme's to Alzheimer's? They can be mistaken for each other, Tommy Hanlon. I believe, but I'm not sure. It's always left out. Have they found an actually economical way to recycle lithium batteries yet? Well, to be honest, the Redneck Atheist, usually the batteries, they just grind them down, then separate the stuff afterwards. But I'm not sure. Lithium batteries are fairly inert. The lithium iron cobalt material they use, is that right? I think it is. On one electrode is probably well, they say cobalt, it might cause cancer, but everything, you look up every MSDS and it says might cause cancer. Salt might cause cancer. You know, it's just everything causes cancer apparently. They seem to be covering themselves. But where was I going there? Yes, the materials. The other materials are graphite, copper, and aluminium, and the electrolyte. They're not that bad. It is a ridiculously super efficient battery. I do wish it was Life Fuel 4 had won the dominance because it's less flammable. Slightly lower capacity, but give it a year and it'll have the same capacity at least, and then after that, the lithium iron phosphate Life PO4 will have higher capacity because it loses its capacity slower than other cells. There's Death Palm. Greetings, Death Palm. Listening to YouTube influencers also causes cancer. Noosa Cat, indeed. Eating Mouse's blooming mini supercomputers probably causes it as well. Oh, hello, Julian. I was looking at one of your videos recently. What was that video I was looking at? It wasn't the central heating controller one, which I also looked at. What was the other one? I left a comment on it. Can't remember what it was now. Such is the amount of YouTube that I consume. Also, never Google your symptoms, Matambali. That worked for me. Tiny little water blisters in the hand. I did this ages ago, and it actually diagnosed the Pomflix. And then I told the doctor, and he said, oh, and he typed it into Google and said, oh, yeah, that's what it is. Okay. Jimmy Henson was born on September 24th. Paul Schur. He died of something that could have been treated, and he just didn't go to the doctor, but I can understand that. I tell you, Quora is online C word to everything. It's just terrible. It's misinformation central. It keeps popping up in my Google results and it's like bad. No, Matt and Bally, I think most doctors use Google. They all have connection to the internet. They can't hold all the medical data that's up to date in their heads. Who else is getting blasted with adverts? That fake perpetual motion heater. Okay, what's this? Is this one of the little plug-in heaters, Craig Matthews? Um, looks round for a plug-in heater like this. Is it one of these or is it different? They work, but they're not going to. A watt is a watt. If your heater puts out 10 watts, it's not going to heat your house as well as one that puts out a kilowatt. Ah. I was pleased to see the pair of emergency lights I'm fitting my house powered by Life batteries indeed electron box. I've noticed that some of the modern lights are coming out with Life PO4 battery packs in them instead of the nickel cadmium. But I've also, well, the ones that got recalled when I featured them in a video that then didn't get released. Awkward. They had standard lithium batteries in them, which I'm not so keen about. Hold on, I'm just catching up here. You got to see a GP. Things are different over in the island. Chinny Vision. It's not as great as it could be. Basically, they used COVID as an excuse to not actually see people anymore. The Redneck Atheist, I do use the little heater here, plugged in, just to create a warmth at the bench. It's brilliant in winter because the bit that mainly gets cold is the fingers, and it just warms the whole table, so that's quite good. Medicine, one of the hot tips for smart machines to replace GPs, Captain Beardy indeed. Dr. Google is pretty good. And the more expensive they are, the more they shoot themselves in the feet. But a Phillips back up with a standard lipo not so long ago. Aha, David Aylward. Drinky poos, indeed. Well, I've got coffee, but it's going to be Guinness. Sam McLachlan, sorry to hear about your dental abscess. It is quite sore. Don't overdo it in the painkillers, though, just as needed. Says Dr. Clive. What's the temperature in your room, Crazy Fool, right now? I haven't a clue. I'm giving up electronics videos, Julian Eilert. Really? What was that thing you were looking at? What was it you were looking at? I'm trying to think now, but keep in mind that the chat scrolls up very quickly here. Akirka, every symptom I Google points to cancer. You can literally go in to, because of the number of Karens that use that to get attention for themselves, if you type in, do lemons cause cancer? Someone will say, yes, they do. I'm an expert. Me. It's just everything. Sam McLachlan says I'm very gay. That's not, that's normal. Yes. My EV charging video got more views, Julian Eilert. That's because it's a popular subject. Joe Maya, maybe it's the fact that there's this energy problem, but the Dubai lamp video is just suddenly taking life to itself again. Oh, do you know what? Stop searching the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail must have thought it was onto a winner with its pro-government headline, because I went into the local supermarket and it was stacked. The stacks of papers had not been touched. So they'll be good. Please prepare the woofler. The woofler is on standby, Liz. It's right down here, ready for wooflation. But anyway, less about cancer, because we all know people have been through it and it's not so great. It's just very annoying that it's just used as a keyword for attention seekers. Very annoying. Right, woofle time. Wow. We shall not continue in that direction. But we'll just acknowledge there are lots of attention-seeking Karens who'll say anything to get attention. Am I one of them? Probably. Is Ralph one of them? Liz, are you ready? Are you bracing yourself for a woofle? How does it feel, Liz, being able to control flames in someone else's house in the middle of the Irish Sea? Woofle. And another woofle. Nice. Feeling a lot better than at the peak of summer when woofles were very, very hot. It's lemon fresh. Well, it's not lemon fresh, but it is lemony. Now, talking of TikToks, did you see my latest short that I've just put up? It's this device here. This is a air conditioning Schrader valve or refrigeration Schrader valve. And these things have a little spring-loaded pin, just like your tire fill valve, but this was just a bit bigger. And when you connect to it, it pushes that in, then seals, and it basically lets you measure pressures and charge and discharge or pull vacuum in the system and stuff like that. So this device is quite neat. Pumping fun. It has an adapter for bigger fitments. I'll take that off. If you screw it on to a Schrader valve of a system that is under pressure, it seals on, right? Not buying into shorts as Cam Nielsen. Unfortunately, there's a whole culture of people who have no attention span, and that's the only thing they can work with. So I've screwed that on now. Now you push the plunger in, because it's got a little sealing O-ring here, and you turn it until it drops down onto the valve in that, the valve core, and then you unscrew it, and when you hear it click, that means that it's now unscrewed. Watch this go horribly wrong. And then you turn the shut-off valve that isolates this section here, and then you can unscrew this. And the core for the Schrader is still in the Schrader. Let me just try that again. It didn't go in right. You have to be careful when you're unscrewing it, because if it catches in the thread... Hold on, let's try that. Is this going to work? Hold on. It would go wrong when it's live. It's just like Tomorrow's World. No, it's still not come out. You may now laugh. Schrader. Julian, it's a Schrader valve. Right, hold on. Let me just screw this back in. So I'm going to screw the valve back in because it was. Bump the thing on. Have another go. See, it worked perfectly all the other times. I'm feeling better about this now. There is the core that has been removed from the Schrader unit. This is the little one-way valve that has the spring-loaded pin and the release on it. So then you get your new valve, or you can actually, at this point in time, you can theoretically connect your vacuum pump and just have no restriction. Put it back in with your new Schrader core. Open this, put it back in, screw, and it's screwing it back into the valve. Then pull it back a bit, unscrew, and take it off, and you've actually changed the valve in this under pressure. It's a clever tool. Very neat. Nicer when it works first time, but that's okay. It's also worth mentioning that Schrader valves, usually when they leak, you can see the oil bubbling out them, or tracer fluid, or just the slight hiss. But part of the important bit of a Schrader valve is the cap, because when you put it on, it provides that secondary protection. This is why people always steal car caps, the little valve caps, when they lose them. They steal them from other people's cars. Why don't you just buy them? Because they're not that expensive. Where'd you pick that up from? Quite neat. Star Delta. It came from eBay and was less than 20 quid, shipped in the UK. Was it the UK it was shipped in? I think it was. Maybe it was from China. For use in air conditioning units, yes, Tommy Hanlon. All my bikes have Schrader valves, but I think they're a smaller size. Not sure what size they are, 45 RPM. That whiffle would work so much better with hydrogen. It would, and methane. Saliva bubbles. Yes, you're supposed to use tracer. Like, you're supposed to use the bubbling, foaming stuff. Just horrible. Not enough LEDs in it, Julian Eyelet. The control panels in the air conditioning systems have far too many LEDs on them. 20 quid, says Craig Matthews. Yes, 20 quid. What's the big green thing in the floor? The big green thing in the floor. What? I haven't a clue what you're talking about, Coffee 3 Million. But largely because you can't actually see the floor. Or is it this thing? Or no? Don't really know. Don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't really matter. It's fine. No, I can't think of anything big and green. I use a coil cleaner in my dehumidifier. Worked well. It's self-cleaning. Is it okay to use or will damage it? Weaselbox. If you use coil cleaner on your coils, make sure you wash them off thoroughly afterwards, because it is basically something along the lines of caustic soda to basically remove stuff. We can see the floor in the mirror. The mirror. What? I don't know. Black foam came out. Yes, it would, Weaselbox, if you're talking about cleaning stuff or what was that? Hold on, Weaselbox. Found it, I think, positive 99. Not sure which mine came from, Star Delta, but it's very common. I use coil cleaner in my demon. Oh, right, okay. So yeah, it does come out pretty manky. Reflections in your glasses. There is nothing particularly green on the floor, though, that I can see. But reflection of glasses, that would, yeah, there'd be reflections, yes. Anyway, the coffee is finished. Greetings, Mick Spanner. Coil as an IUD. Intentional unexploded device. Frost King self-cleaning coil cleaner. You have to be careful, Weaselbox, of what you use on some equipment that can attack certain finishes, particularly in ice machines. See how much I'm learning off the HVAC channels. They only reflect lights, they do. Next, the perpetual motion machine. Oh, that's an over Unity device as well. I should make a video about an over Unity device. The more dumb the shorts are, the more views they get. I was thinking of making one called Ripe and Ready to Eat My Ass, which would be about an avocado that was ripe and ready to eat, but I'd just miss out the comma, just for the sensationalism that it would be misread. That's the sort of shit that gets viewed. Reflection, anti-reflection, coating and specs looks green. These are not anti-reflection. Dark as Strawberry Time? No, it's dark. One moment, please. I'm just going to go and grab it. Acid avocados are great. They're great, but you can only put one up at a time, probably. I'm not really sure. I've never tried that. It doesn't seem like a good thing to do. They're quite knobbly. I'm not really sure. Let's just appreciate Clive invented the Jewel Thief. I did not invent the Jewel Thief electron box. I named the Jewel Thief. It was someone else who came up with the idea, but it was before the era of white LEDs. Avocados, that's the one, Smoke. Serious clickbait, that one, yes. I shall go and grab the Guinness, which is self-foaming. It's draft Guinness, so it will make noises. Did you hear it? Squirting nitrogen in to make it all foamy. We were analysing that. There was an unofficial extra. It's usually every second Thursday, but there was another one this Thursday for the Patreons. A live stream in which we did actually rip a can open and take the ball out that squirts the nitrogen in. It was interesting enough. But I think it was a chipmunk who did all the research on that and found out how they did it. But it's quite complex. But in squirting the nitrogen in, it makes it all very swooshy and cloudy, and there's the falling cloud effect. Yeah, it's working. Classic draft widget. That's the one, Northumbria Rail. You're a stout man, Mr. C. I'm very stout, yes, Tommy Hanlon. I don't normally drink Guinness, just get the urge to do it. Can you distill Guinness? You could. I meant to do that, John Walk, and then didn't. I'd have to recarbonate it with nitrogen to get the best effect. Here in the US, you can get cola with nitrogen squirter. It's called Pepsi Nitro. Oh, that's a gimmick, David Glover. That is a gimmick, but it's good. Julian says, I'm alternating water and Pepsi Max. That'll cut down your caffeine intake. Yes, that's reasonable enough. Add vodka to the Pepsi, and then it will be Pepsi Max. Bring out the ultrasonic Guinness. The Guinness Surger is through there somewhere. Not going to start fizzing it, though. Hello, Simon Griffiths. Guinness, bread in a glass. It's all right. Have Little Fox, A.K. Benji's eaten all the quinoa chips. Oh, that's reasonable enough. I'll tell you what, I've got Walker's. Was it Walker's? Hold on, I'm going to grab them. In the UK, we call these crisps. The Americans call them potato chips. These are Max Strong, perfect with beer, jalapeno and cheese. And unlike the previous crisps, rippled crisps, that they say super fiery strong, but they aren't. These ones are. You can't eat too many at once. They are potent. Mr. Caldine, Guinness and the distillation thing, absolutely. It's going to happen at some point. Oh, quinoa, all right. Quinoa. Quinoa, that's the one. Hippie food. Those ones contain cockroach flour. Excellent. Should I risk a beer while not fully recovered? Well, Raven Looney, it's supposed to not interact with medication much. I hope that's true. It's bad enough eating jelly babies during a stream. Oh, talking about eating jelly babies, there's another one. It's a white one. I'm going to bite its head off. Paul Norman, I do like the prawn cocktail flavour crisps. They've done haggis flavour, Happy Little Fox, and hedgehog flavour crisps. Carbonated still Guinness could do that. Gone to the Great. Guinness with a shot of cherry bee is top-tastic, dances the adverts. I've never really come across that. Scampi fries with Guinness. I actually thought you were talking about actual chips, and that's potato fries. And scampi, actual scampi would have been good. Dennis, I think they've done squirrel flavour crisps over here. They're just generic meaty flavour crisps, but with it's like the air fresher labelling. They just basically pick random animals. And what age was you when you discovered Parkinson's law? What is Parkinson's law? Hold on, I'm going to look that up now, Andy Gossard. Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Yes. That was at a young age. I discovered that when I started working. And it's always the silly little jobs that just take the longest. That happens in the two. Uncreating hundreds of lights and hanging them up and connect them up, no problem. See, making a panel with custom wiring in it just eats time. Do they have chopsticks in the UK? Yes, we do, Tommy Hanlon. I used to use them a lot. And Ryan Drew, any simple job is one snap bolt from a 2-day ordeal. Or in my case, it used to be like trying to drill holes in concrete and then finding that the raw bolts didn't quite line up, and then they'd just basically mess up. That doesn't happen so much these days. Neil McLaren says, bollocks, so much reminders. The reminders cannot be trusted. Some were saying that they hadn't had a reminder of my videos for like 3 months or something like that. And Yeah, that's about right. That'll coincide with the huge dip in views I had during the year. I don't. That always happens at that time of year, though. Is it because I'm at the tattoo and I change my output quantity, or it just looks different and people don't click the thumbnails because they don't recognise them? Guinness and sparkling wine, the black velvet, Marky and Gully. Not sure about that, but I'd give it a go. Chemical anger's far better, yes. More tolerant of angle, Gon's the Great. Talking of which, angle. I was load testing a load of fixings put in by the main contractor at the BBC in Pacific Gate in Glasgow, their studios there. And one of them, they'd been drilling holes and they'd then put the inserts into the chemical fixing. Now, had they put studs in? I think it was just the holes for the threaded rod. Yes, it was. And it was hard testing some of them because some of them, it was very clear they'd reached out from a scaffold with their drill at this angle and drilled the hole at that angle and then stuck the chemical fix in. And you got a screwed rod stud and you put it into it and it was actually sticking out at an angle from the ceiling. We'd re-drilled them and just put a new one next to it. Is June here? I don't think, no if June's here, Brian Young. Def Bum said that I just did a review on a miniware power supply. It's done very well indeed. That's interesting. Organ Grinder says, all the time you was at the tattoo, I got no notifications about videos at all. Now you're back in the island, all back to normal. Maybe it's just because I'm changing the location. But you'd think it's the same channel they're being loaded up to. Who knows? That might just be a YouTube oddity. When will there be another NBC? We'll see when we get back together. I'm not creative because we were going to meet up just after I got back, but Kevin called it off. He didn't want to go out to the pub that night. But we'll see what happens. You could do guest appearances 1 to 2. Ask other YouTubers to make Clive-style videos and then post them there. That's an interesting idea, Aurovac. Like Tom Scott does. But this happens every year. I wonder if there is something to do with that. The fact it's being I'm not sure. Don't know. Sometimes in the past, I felt like I was being punished by YouTube, but it just wouldn't show my video. I was putting out the same content, but it was just plummeted to a real low level, and then it suddenly took off again. It's very quirky. It's very odd. It's not a way. It's not a predictable living at all. This is why you'd say I'd never ever trust in it. It's just as my only job. It's just not something I'd want to pin my life on. My security. Have you turned your heating on yet, Julian Hallett? Well, I should have pulled it. Alright, I will do that. Hold on. Have you turned your heating on yet? Ask the community. I have not. Echo the Husky, I get loads of things. It's a standing joke that Dave at EEV Blog could probably get a silver play button for the number of people that have been unsubscribed from his channel by YouTube. Sounds like a shadow ban. Could be, Zadster. I wasn't aware I'd done something terrible, but then their idea of terrible is much milder than my idea of terrible. This is what happens. Oh, Def Palm says his channel does it as well. Maybe it's just the fact that everybody's out in summer. They're outside and not watching YouTube, which is a good thing. They should be out getting fun, doing real stuff. And save YouTube for the winter months. I've not got the heating on. But hi. That's fine. The dehumidifiers are. Got to get your vitamin D. Indeed, Dennis. 2 more layers of clothing before the heating goes on. or in my case, to answer the aardvarks, the thermal boiler suit or coveralls. So the majority of people have not turned the heating on yet. Only 25% have turned it on, but that'll depend where you are in the world as well. Oh, we've got a porn thing. Excellent. Hold on, let's see if I can get to that before someone else does. Oh, hold on. Oh, that's not helpful. Oh, it's already. I see it's already been. Nope, someone beat me to it. Craig beat me to it. That's why I wasn't getting that option there. Good job, Craig. That was a sex bot. Yeah, the scrolling, it makes it hard. You have to try and wheel back the scrolling. When a sex bot appears, you can't just go and try and click on it or you'll hit the next comment that comes up. You have to be careful about that. What kind of heating is predominant in the Isle of Man, Lock Watcher? Solid fuel, stoves, but mostly oil. Oil is the common in the Isle of Man because gas is so expensive. The main picture at the moment is the FL Sun Q5, although it's not as accurate as the other one that I've forgotten the name of because it's quite a weird name as well. Jonathan Martinez, good evening. Do you mind if I sit here, Sir Emily? It's fine, yes. Ah, but yes, big oil tanks everywhere. Mouse, am I the only one that hears sex bot, sex bot? You're my sex bot? No, I don't. It doesn't happen to me, but that's reasonable enough. It does sound like sex bomb. GS1512 is a log burner and electric storage heating, which will charge up the blocks at in the cheaper tariff. Handspan says, I see search traffic on technical sites also creeps again since mid-September. Do you know what happened last year? Usually you see a peak of views peak of advertising revenue in December. And I did not get that last year. It bombed for December. It was like a really low month, which is very strange. I think I was being punished for something. It's very hard to say. I do so many things that, like for instance, the sex toy videos where I take apart sex toys, reverse engineer them, and show how dangerous some of the imported ones are, that have mains voltage circuitry in them and bare wires at the back. They're now relaxing that and saying that as long as they're not showing them being used for sex, they might be acceptable, but they might not be acceptable. I suppose it depends which Karen checks out your video. I'll try not to fall asleep, Graham Rule. Although, since I got back here, I've just fallen asleep continually. It's like the work has stopped and now I just want to sleep. Ever fancied down with valve radios? Not really, Andy Gozzard, although there are some interesting tubes that are not used in radios, but have interesting industrial applications. Steve Oilers, make a big Dirty Clive channel. Well, that's what this channel sometimes ends up at, but it's still linked to the main channel by being the sort of on the same account as such. I have to be careful about that. I could do another channel, another platform. Oh, it's quite a strongly black currant flavoured jelly baby. Bragg is a bin of assorted vacuum tubes hanging out. How many of them are dead that have been removed from equipment? I'm snacking jelly babies, Hober Sullivan. Do you have an old Bakelite radio? I do have an old valve radio somewhere, Dax. Might be Bakelite, but no, I don't think it's a brown Bakelite. I think it's another colour. I think it's a Bush radio, I'm not really sure. Green jelly baby. Off with its head. Julian Eilert says, my second channel has been demonetized. Has it? Why? Is it just because it's not getting enough views? Hmm. Oh, lack of views, Julian, I see. Okay. I thought they were being more relaxed about that now, and they weren't just saying you have to have a min number of views to monetize. Amulet Teradici. You can probably buy jelly babies online. They may be a bit more expensive, but they're very different. They're not like the standard Haribo. They're a different texture completely that's more gelatinous, well, softer in the middle and sort of firm on the outside. They're very nice. Elliot Veer says YouTube is still starting you off at the beginning of the stream. Ah, thank goodness I put those reminders in. They are bassets. Jason Green says, I found a capacitor tester at Hamfest last spring that has a tuning eye. That's a type of valve that has a little sort of glowing thing in it that lets you know when you've hit a sweet spot. Oh, that's quite odd. Lot Watcher says, I was surprised you can still get 22.5 volt batteries for old tube radios. It's probably still a lot used by enthusiasts, but these days I'd expect a little adapter, a little lithium cell and a voltage booster. Are they dusted with borax? No, it's corn flour. It's Tom's Houston. The reason they're dusted with it, they're not actually dusted with it as such. The molds are done in a machine that it basically presses. It puts corn flour into trays, presses it down, combs it off, and then the mold shape of the babies gets pressed into it to create lots of little indents. Then as it goes through the machine, it squirts the jelly stuff into them, and it soaks into the surface and creating that sort of strange, crispy sort of skin. But then it means that there's no problem coming out the mold because all it does is it tips them up and all the corn flour just disintegrates into dust and you're left with the pre-dusted jelly babies and no difficulty getting them out the mold. I stuck an LED pad jelly baby's ass once. I made a video about that, I believe, how to make LED Christmas lights by stuffing LEDs into jelly babies. Have a little fox. Electron Box Turkish Delight. When I came over, I got Ralph real Turkish Delight from Asda, but it was actual Bodrum or something. It was a Bodum. I'm not really sure, but it was the proper real stuff. Not corn flour, corn starch. Is that not the same thing, Horavac? Corn starch is corn flour, I'm pretty sure. But could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure. The Shed channel never reached monetization levels. That's just because you never persisted with it. But I understand that because when you've got the main channel, you kind of want to push all your content there where it gets the biggest audience. It's like starting from scratch doing a second channel. The reason for this second channel is purely for the face videos, so people don't get a fright when they see me and unsubscribe in terror. It's interesting how so many creators rely on monetization for their livelihood, but work essentially at the whim of Google, YouTube censure. I fear for the reliable income at times. Blah, blah. People have already discovered that suddenly they can't pay their rent anymore or rates because suddenly their channel has been demonetized or cancelled. Bodrum Turkish Delight, sun quotes. That's the one. Jelly babies and UV light. One moment, please. I lied. These are not Bassets. These are Co-op jelly babies. Let me just expose them to ultraviolet light and see if anything's going to happen. I'll do it in the dark here. Oh yes, there is. Hold on. There is. Hold on, it's worth turning the light out for. Beard trim is noticed. I had to trim the sides. It was getting too big. Not all of them are glowing. This isn't really working that well. But these ones, I'm not sure what colour these are. Yellow, I guess, because they are definitely fluorescing. Not that it's really showing up that... It is kind of showing up well, but it's not. The other ones aren't. I mean, this one is really bright, right? Let's see if I can get another one that's not as bright. This one is not as bright, but on the camera it does look bright for some reason. But looking here at them, this one is glowing bright yellow. I guess it's yellow pigment in it. I shall turn the power back on to the lights and we'll see what happens. It is indeed the yellow jelly baby. It was yellow. Murphy's cat has just done a poo apparently. Clive, your face isn't big enough. What? It was yellow. It'll be brown later on. Another one that didn't like was green, which is a bit strange. Jaeger. Jaeger. To the inventor of jelly babies. Now I'm going to have to type in who invented jelly babies. What's for drinks tonight? Guinness. Very, very black. Hold on. Who invented jelly babies? Surely Wikipedia must be an entry. The sweets were invented. Oompa Loompa Sweet Shop. History of jelly babies. They were invented in 1864 by an Austrian immigrant working at Friars of Lancashire, and they were originally marketed as unclaimed babies. Then they were produced by Bassett's as peace babies to mark the end of World War I. So there you go, they're unclaimed babies. I prefer unclaimed babies. It's just so dark. I'm just going to have an unclaimed baby. I'm going to have a white unclaimed baby. Mick Spanner, fucking giant house spider just appeared. I'm moving out. Oh, just get the vacuum cleaner onto it. The Jaeger ate my comment. Jelly babies, they do actually contain 100% real baby. Pureed and jellified. Holodeck says no vacuum cleaners and spiders. You're pro spider. John McFerrin, the stream needs more fizzy wine. The problem with the fizzy wine, it may make the stream more entertaining. It makes my life very, very disruptive that night. It causes major disruption. The chipmunk is very pro-spider. I'm fine with spiders as long as they're not in my bedroom when I'm not so fine about them. Elsewhere in the house, I'm not bothered. If they get caught in a whiffle, that is accidental. Oh, you know what? There's the video that I was looking at. Mick Spanner says it's in a measuring jug at the moment. Ah, right, okay. It was the measuring spoon. I saw that at Lidl's as well, Julian. I almost bought one and I thought, doesn't the position of the stuff in the spoon affect what the weight's going to be? If it's at the tip of the spoon versus if it's right up close to the end? Not sure. No, it can't be. No, it should still put the same weight, shouldn't it? Not sure on the strain gauge. I don't think it would affect because ultimately it's going to push the strain gauge down the same force. Not sure about that. Ticks are arachnids, are they? Andy Gosser, didn't know that. Expect major destruction of Guinness. Well, I drank quite a lot on the Thursday stream, the Patreon stream, and there was no major disruption. There's the gadget. Surf fleas and headlights. Aha, a Volt R2M stereo. The ghost of every spider you ever killed haunts you. You feel the webs even though there are none there. Rick's Radviz. I feel all the webs anyway because of my height. I'd catch every cobweb. Please, of false widow spiders, Mac Grum. Yeah, I keep an eye out for things like that, but I've not seen one here yet that I know of. Joe O'Higgins says, I have a request. Can you do a big boom for me or a big whomp? I'm not sure about that. I mean, maybe I could. Hold on. We do have particularly wumpy stuff here. Was that loud enough for you? It's also, I can see the vapour coming out the can now. It really wants to do it again. But you only get one because that's a very big whump. What's your favourite Frey Bendis pie? I'm not really sure. I do have some more Frey Bendis pies, but to be honest, the chicken one was okay. The steak and kidney was very disappointing. The biggest surprise about this steak and kidney pie was the Americans all saying, "Oh, you eat kidney. Oh, like it's awful." Okay, didn't know that. Everyone has eaten a spider in their sleep. Apparently so. I'm not convinced about this. Sounds like Karen talk. Yes, it is awful, Matambali. It is actually awful. That it's shooting up now. Did you do a rundown of your kit for the toolbox bag tour, Joe Hagan? I didn't. I could have done that, but the tools are over in Glasgow, so not really practical. Thank you, Sean Yam. Good evening from Berlin. Where is this synthehol? What have you mixed up now? It's the Guinness is the synthehol because it doesn't cause so much of a problem afterwards. Synthehol would be great. Joe, I tried this week and had disappointing results. Maybe the scientists can chime in. Where's Furbear when you need him? I got vodka and I mixed in salt. And I thought that was going to separate the ethanol from the water by the salt dissolving the water, making it heavier. But it didn't work. What did I do wrong? It's now salty vodka stuff. And then I tried it with Epsom salts and also regretted that. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm doing wrong. Fur was in just before the stream, Craig. I saw that. I don't think he's in the mood for these, the chat whizzing up. Who put this in the synthehol? What is it? It is green. Maybe a centrifuge would help separate them. That would require a centrifuge, which is a bit awkward, Craig Matthews, linked to the fact I don't have one. Salt water is still miscible with ethanol, but the salt itself shouldn't be miscible with ethanol, so it should dissolve in the water. It depends on the type of salt, and the water should then get denser. It didn't happen. Interesting, though. It was just an experiment. The level at which vodka is sold, 40% roughly, is about the right level for drinking as alcohol, because anything higher and it becomes unpleasant. It's just like drinking solvent. So that is, I mean, the little spiritomer. I'll go and show you the spiritomer. Spiritomer. This, I guess this is used by the Russians for their spirits, but it's quite interesting that it's got a little red line at the 40% mark. And if it drops lower, it goes right up to, well, it goes up to over 90%. It theoretically goes up to 96. I suppose that's about the... It is 96. I think that's about the highest you can get ethanol, isn't it? I'm not really sure. But it's a little dedicated thing just to... It's got a little tag inside it floating about. How do they... If they still have to seal it off after putting the lead shot in here, how do they get this in the correct position? Not sure how they make hydrometers. It's very pretty. Look, for such a repressive country, it's the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. It's the little. It's a gay alcohol measurement unit. Hmm. Ah. It is a hydrometer, yes, but it's specifically designed for Russian spirit making, apparently. I bought it at the same time I bought the little cooker lighter thing that ran off the mains and was basically a coil and a nail. It was great. It's quite scary. I may have used it for more than its rated duty cycle and burned it out. 96 is the highest while open to the atmosphere of Voltar 2M stereo. They have aimed for the highest there. Sodium chloride separates IPA from water. Potassium carbonate separates ethanol, salting out. All right, okay. Matt Hilshire. I've got it all wrong then. That's fine. I've just ruined some vodka. Unless I could redistill it and just make it back into vodka again. It is duty paid, so I don't feel too bad about that. Hello, Andrew Lambert. I used to have one of those for wine and beer. This one's different. This one is just marked for spirits. It's clearly designed for the Russians and the, well, Ukrainians. Scotty, see if you use your soda stream later to carbonate something you shouldn't. No, I've not. I've not done that in a while. I need to do that. Ethanol is hygroscopic. Yeah. Water 2M stereo. It's very like, well, glycols are as well. Lots of things are very hygroscopic. They suck moisture at every opportunity. Watch the Minecraft dude, Alistair. It's just Steve of Minecraft. I just got the urge to put Steve up there. Ah. I'm just scrolling up and down. Now, that's an interesting thing. In America, you have Everclear, which is a very concentrated ethanol. We don't have that here. I think you can get medical ethanol. My still is legitimised by the need for hand sanitizer, Voltar 2M stereo. Oh, I'm sure HM or Customs and Excise still wouldn't see that, but you know, they do what they feel like. They're just an entity of their own being. Patrick Fashing is here after walking the dog. Everclear soda's a beverage. It is, John Key. Used to make punch and stuff like that. Carbonate a cup of tea. I'm not sure how good that would be. Maybe carbonate coffee would be interesting. I bet somebody's done that. Someone did bring in the super concentrated, what's the rum type stuff that is super high alcohol? It was disgusting. Probably find it had been watered down. How can we find the radius of a rainbow in degrees? Well, a rainbow is theoretically spherical. Jonathan Hughes, it is a circle. You can buy 95% ethanol in Polish shops for spirit making. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, maybe I should try this Polish supermarkets. Maybe they'll have it behind the counter. But I noticed that the Polish sell a lot of home distillation stuff on eBay. And all the yeasts. The instructions are in English, Russian, Polish, and what else? Let me check that out. One very out-of-date sachet since the novelty wore off. Best before 2016. Maybe I should get rid of it. It's in British, Polish, Russian, and Swedish. So there we go. That's the 4 countries that are apparently into making their own home spirits. seems to be a hobby in the UK. You're not supposed to distill stuff. It seems to be a hobby, but all the people that do it, they're not doing it just because they want to make cheap booze. They're doing it in that classic scientific way. They just want to get the most perfect result. They're doing it scientifically as a hobby. They don't gold at the end, which is a bit mean because you can't actually get there, Paul Norman, just because they are an optical effect based in sun and rain. How do you reply to a poster, Magnus? You type in at, well, depends if you're on your phone, it won't work, but if you're on a computer, at, say for instance, at Magnus, and it should actually pop up the options, and then you can be specific. 151 proof rum is fairly common. Keep in mind the 151, that's just double the alcohol percentage. The proof thing is a marketing gimmick. Why do we do electronics, says Julian Allen? I'm not really sure. Well, for the exact same reason. Because it's quite fun, really. I'd love to see your eBay search history. It's wild, Mr. Caldine. And recently included little waterproof power supplies for LED stuff. You can see that they've got an aluminium casing here. Is it aluminium? I think it is. Yes. And they've put the end caps in and sealed them with the circuit board threaded through. They've put the end on, then they've filled it with resin here and then put a label over the top to cover it. And that's how they've potted it. I wonder if it's the hard potting or if it's the stuff you can pick out. Because it'd be good reverse engineering it. And seeing what the quality of the circuitry is like. But it came from the same supplier. A Ralph collab distillation video would be cool. Ralph is all, oh, you mustn't distill. It's illegal. You need a special license for that. And it's like, boring. Anyway, I was having a discussion with someone on YouTube in the comments, was it Cody's lab, about the use of potassium permanganate to actually remove fusels from spirit. And someone called Revenue Protection, I don't know if it's someone pretending to be HMRC, it was one of their scaremongering tactics, said, do you have any more information on this? And I was so tempted to rickroll them. But anyway, the other thing is this little power supply. It's currently a power supply. You just know it's going to be one of the wee tiny little circuit boards rattling around inside. And the other one is, the second board is the same colour sequence. And one of these little power supplies, I can see already looking through it that the areas, there's a fuse, there's no class X2 suppression capacitor, and there's no COM mode suppression choke. They've left out all those undesirably expensive and unnecessary components for radio interference suppression. There's a little 8-pin chip with a heatsink on it, and one discrete diode for rectification, capacitor, inductor capacitor, the usual stuff, 2 class Y suppression capacitors in series, and then a little bit of feedback circuitry based, probably on a TL431-ish type chip, and an opto isolator. Maybe we'll open it. Maybe I should get more and open more. Can it supply 200 amp? Yes, it can use 200 amp, Julian, when you plug it in, owing to the fact there's no NDC thermistor. This one is 2 amp. Well, it's eBay 2 amp, which means 1 amp, really. But, the thing is, these look not bad, the design, but the one unknown variable is the transformer. You don't really know. Instead of rickrolling them, you gave them up. I did, Raven Looney. Gunpowder is supposed to go fum, not boom, when not in a containment. It does, Horovac. If you light it, it just burns slowly. Gunpowder relies on, if you compress it into a solid block, it'll burn slowly. That's the principle of the gerbs or fountains. If it's loose but in an enclosure, that's when it goes kaboom. A lot of science in making gunpowder. Have you tried wasabi popping candy? No, Dance at Aardvarks. That sounds quite severe. Voltage current, Gorn's the Great, 12 volt 2 amp. Is it universal voltage in? The original Ford Model T was designed to run ethanol, and the farmers made their own motor fuel distillation. And Diesel, who invented the diesel engine, he designed it to run in something like peanut oil. It was designed to run on a vegetable oil. This is 110 to 220 volt plus or minus 15% input. DC output 12 volt 2 amp, made in China. Stickers all over it. I mean, they look okay, these power supplies, but A, people often have them sitting on their bench with just the bare, with the cover, if it has one, missing, and just live bare mains connections. And stuff does find their way into those. But they seem to rely on them as if they're 100% guaranteed to be safe. The transformer is the one weakness. I really should check that with these. I should do some high voltage testing on them and then unwind the transformers. It means as soon as I've unwound them, that's it, screwed. Because you usually break the transformer trying to get it apart. Half wave rectification, no, it's full wave. It's got a decent rectifier in it. Black powders are low explosive, smokeless powders are propellant. Yeah. What do you need 12 volts for? LEDs. Lots of LEDs, Julian. Now, where have the greys gone from the beard, Brendan L? I've never been grey because I'm very young. Maybe I'm lying. There may have been a beard dyeing incident while I was working the tattoo. It will not hold the voltage at any load. Norm Swan, usually that doesn't really matter. And if with LED, the slightly lower voltage is good. Now, continuing on from the Patreon stream, there was a challenge. Hold on. Video coming out soon, you think, oh, it's that red neon thing you did before. No, this is different. This is actually based on, spoilers, this is based on a separate LED strip and a diffuser that then goes on over the top of it. And it's a bendable LED strip. You can see it's kind of creased and pleated. That's how that stuff is designed to work, a bit squirmy when you do it. But this is stuff that's designed that you can 3D print or route. It's designed really for routing. But you can route a channel out and you can then lay the LED tape in and then put the diffusion over the top. It turns out, yes, you can do a star with it, even though it's got lots of curves. It looks okay. So that kind of worked. Craig shoot clay pigeons from the hip. What? So I've ordered some more of these things. It didn't pop out. It's changed the shape of the star. It's now domed with the pressure of it, but it's stayed in. But I wouldn't recommend it for really tight bends like this, unless it is properly routed into plastic as they show the original material being used. The illumination was surprisingly diffused and even, and it was very good. Also, the square only took me about 6 minutes in the video to actually lay the stuff in and put the stuff in and cut it to size. It went in fairly quickly. Oh, has the porn? Oh, right, okay. Oh yeah, they're really smashing the... using slightly different names or something? Ah. Yeah, the porn robots, they come in showers. They must be using slightly different names to avoid the fact there is that 10-second time lag that when you can do comments. Who is Wankel? Wankel invented the engine holder bee, didn't he? The triangular engine, where it just rotates. It doesn't have cylinders as such. The porn, Mr. Eggcake, porn bots, indeed. What would you use to convert TTL to 12 volt? K-line. Oh, you could use discrete, if you look up level shifter, you'll find very simple transistor arrangements for a level shifter. Andy Gozzard. Is the K-line, does it operate at 12 volts in cars? I thought everything operated at 5 volts, but I'm not an expert in car networks. Wankel invented the rotor engine. Indeed. The Delitic engine is my favourite. Ah, Mike Hanna, that sounds exotic. logic converter or level shifter, Sean Yem. You do get little level converter modules for Arduino use. Do the mods get meshed just before we do? No, Raven Looney, they see them all at the same time. The latency. CMOS works at 12 volts, it does, yes. So let's do a latency test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 seconds at the moment. It's a bit slower than normal, that's fine. Did you see the new Stern 007 pinball? I have not, CNK YouTube. I wonder if, what's the other one? Something Cactus Jacks or something like that. I wonder if is it Cactus Jacks? What's the other pinball manufacturer? I wonder if they're still doing the machines. Clearly your neon LED star should be named Beetlejuice. Why? Matt and Bally. Super Goomba, what is your monthly spend on stuff to take apart for us, and what do you do with the remains of the things you have destroyed? Well, to be honest, most things get reassembled and end up in a big pile. The spend isn't huge because it is not super expensive equipment, but sometimes it is. Some of the gear is expensive, but it's not huge. Certainly, Versus Jersey Jack, that's the one, China North Air Guns, that's the one, Jersey Jack, with their big LED, addressable LED rays. New Rock Boy, I have a question, Big Clive. If you'd asked it, I would have read that out right now, but it's going to possibly get buried now. Do you remember your shoe warmers you reviewed? Do you know, I was looking, New Rock Boy, they're still advertising them with the ultraviolet sterilization. It's not. I was thinking maybe they do have ultraviolet sterilization, but I know it's just going to be a blue LED again. I was looking at them today. Is a belt sander any good for removing hard skin, Arthur Touchedge Jackson? I don't use a belt sander for that. I have occasionally used an orbital sander for removing hard skin. Bally Williams made all my favourite games. Bally and Williams are two separate companies. Crazy Phil, but of the 3 machines here, I've got Gottlieb Haunted House, and I've got Bally Centaur 2 and Bally 8-Ball Deluxe. Bally, it's always been Bally's for me. Although I've got a Zaccaria as well, but not here. And a Xenon, and an Electra, but the Electra was so utterly disappointing. It sounded great. The multi-level playfield was just cheating because it was a captive ball. It was not anything like Haunted House that I ended up parting it effectively for spare circuit boards. Cardinal sin, the playfield's still intact. Haunted House is great, Crazy Phil. Dremel for pedicures. The Dremel, whenever I'm doing circuit boards, the Dremel always ends up in the hard skin as well. Brad, he did get his question answered though. Evolution and Mouse are just too slow, and Craig's beating them to it. But then that's not surprising. He's straight on the ball there. K-Line is open collector with pull-up, no, so shouldn't need level shifting as such. Okay. So basically an NPN transistor. Oh, no, is it? Yeah, open collector. Yeah, an NPN transistor should do it. SDG Electronics. Never really looked at that, but I did notice that in the fake fuel saver OBD plugs, I got one of the worst. You'll see these videos if you're not a patron who have seen them already. There is one of the shittest OBD thing. They were both shit, to be honest. The fake things that go into your OBD connector in your car and save you fuel by remapping the engine according to your driving characteristics. One of them had an A-stable multi-vibrator in it. That's not going to do much mapping. The other one did have a microcontroller, but also had circuitry. Is it Wiffle time? Andrew Lambert, hello, hello, and hello. Hello, Andrew Lambert. Crazy Phil, NBC Pinball Tournament, let's go. That's viable. I would win. Wiffle time. They were wonderfully bad. They were, Chris. One was very, very perplexing because it had a microcontroller doing the proper fake, I'm looking for a data connection. Here's your data connection. Oh my God, here's the data. Confirmed. It was doing all that shit with the LEDs, right? And going like the power indicator would come on after a time delay and resetting and blink, blink. And yes, I'm responding. I'm doing shit. Not really. You were faking it. But bizarrely, is this a spoiler? There were 3 other transistors, and what they were being used for was just like, they could have written that in the software, but they didn't write it in the software because they probably stole the software and didn't know how to modify it to include that shit feature that they had. That was completely and utterly unnecessary. Oh, the 2 transistor version of the fuel saver drew constant current 24/7 from your vehicle of almost 20 milliamps. Is it woofle time? Yes, it is woofle time. The multi-vibrator is rude. Mega woofle. Oh shit, yes, mega woofle. That was indeed a mega woofle. This is less of a woofle. Woofle. That was a more realistic normal woofle. But anyway, here's something else I want to reverse engineer. Okay, who's going to identify what this is? Who is going to instantly recognize it and say what it is? But this one came from France. I got this when I was working in France. And it's got a unique feature. That almost lit the dyed beard. It almost made the beard black. Yes. Evolution. I live my life in the steel toe cap, well, the composite toe cap boots. Hold on. Which do you have? Oh, right, okay. The electric foot file. The snag is, Evolution, have you ever buffed the skin down too far and then it cracks, or you go right through to the juicy bit? Dennis says, Flasher, Electroshed was first with strobe. You're right, it's an egg strobe. Scruff Dog spelt strobe incorrectly, but that's fine. A strobe tube, DL Monk, technically speaking, it's not a UVC lamp, but it probably does put out UVC, because it is quartz usually. It is a little egg strobe that you'd find plugged into festoon, and it would just go pop, pop. But what's interesting is this little component here, this little orangey brown component there, that's a PTC thermistor, and that's limiting the current to charge the capacitor via a single diode, probably. Single diode. Hold on. There's a single diode there. But anyway, you'd think, shows it lit. I could do that. I could do that. And you'll see it's got an odd characteristic. Here's the snag. The flash is going to be very, very brief, and it may not be picked up on camera. So I'm stuffing the wires into the quick test here, hoping this is what I'm thinking it is and it's not a low voltage one. See how it's flashing really fast, and then it slows down as that PTC thermistor heats up, right? It is kind of, you're catching it here, I think. What happens is, do you notice that it's flashing intermittently? Instead of being, normally it's just a resistor, it goes pop, pop, pop. But because the thermistor's cycling up and down, it varies the speed. It does intermittent flashes. It does like, it varies between fast and slow. This thing will be holding a charge. Oh. They're going to flash. Sometimes you unplug it and it flashes. Yeah, anyway, this is holding a charge now. I will not finger it. lest I get zapped, much as that would be amusing to you. It will discharge because the trigger. Benchlight, no, that would be too stroby. You've seen it. I won't let that be too stroby with the lights off. Could be disturbing with some people who'd mess up the compression algorithm big time. No, I'm not going to lick it. But the interesting thing is that LC or RC, it's RC timing, Jonathan Hughes. But the varying, um, the PTC thermistor that limits the current, that's why it starts fast. It means that after it's been running, it varies up in speed. And I remember looking at the strobes in France because they were everywhere, and I ended up going hunting them down, buying some. I could have just stolen them, but they're all out of reach. Oh. Everywhere you see a Christmas tree that can be reached with traditional lamps and festoon, you see lamps that have been stolen out of it. I could make a supercomputer out of a lot of them. I was disappointed. I used to install them in George Square in the Christmas lights, but they used to fail. The ones we used were from Blusher. They weren't made by Blusher, and they used to be really unreliable. They lasted about a season, and that was it. They'd then fail. You don't need to do that, says Holderby. People suck, says Norm Swan. I'm not sure what this conversation is about. What was that book that Clive talked about once with instructions for a Jacob's Ladder? The Boy Electrician Bean. It wasn't just a Jacob's Ladder. It had instructions for making X-ray machines and everything. It was like, it got gradually censored over time by the Karens because these things weren't allowable. Someone asked me recently, can a UVC lamp put out X-rays? And there is a YouTuber claiming that it does, and he's got a few Geiger counters and says one of them is detecting X-rays. Now, I don't know if my Geiger counter detects X-rays. It's got a metal tube, so it may not. But I wouldn't see a UVC tube emitting any more X-rays than a standard fluorescent tube, because the only thing that's different is there's no phosphor. It's the same gas discharge inside, and the glass is different. You need an LED disco ball. I've got things like that dance with aardvarks. Things for boys to make and do, indeed. No, you need 40 kV for X-rays as far as I know. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Keep in mind you can make them with sticky tape. The little heaters that are constantly being advertised at the moment are the PTC device, yes. Inside the heater are fins. See the two grey stripes in there? They're PTC blocks. I think it's a pair of blocks. Either in parallel or series, but the whole lot are connected in series. I think with these, are they? I'm not sure. It makes sense connecting in series in the 240 and then in parallel in 110. But yeah, they're the self-regulating blocks. So if the air is warm, it will lower the output of heat. How many lithium cells do you have in your house? Julian, before going to the tattoo, I got a metal tool cabinet and I put all the lithium cells in proper spacing and stuff in it just in case one of them burst into flames. But I have a lot of lithium cells because just like you, I bet, Julian, I hoard lithium cells and solar panels and stuff like that. It's just this feeling of independence. I can only think, that's the only reason I can think of it, like power banks. You can't get enough power banks and LED head torches because it's making you independent of the power network. Christmas charger LEDs all burned up now. CNK YouTube, I don't know. I didn't keep using that one. It was just ridiculous. The one that just put the LEDs right across the mains. Sean Yem says, I suck. No. Or what type of sucking? Ugh. That a bottoms up cup? No. No, it's not. It just looks like it because it's got the It's got a sticker on the bottom, but it's actually, this one came from Evolution. It's got a little light inside it. Oh, and a little bit of fluff. For those wondering what a bottoms up cup is, you get beer glasses, plastic ones I think they are, and there's a little disc at the bottom that gets dropped in. You can keep the disc as a souvenir, and what it does is you place the glass over a little nozzle, and it puts the beer in from the bottom upwards. And all the videos they have showing it show it stopping perfectly at the top, and you think, how do they do that? And then you look at other videos and it shows it starting to just about to overflow, and then it cuts away from it, and you think, oh, they don't. As a cyclist, I do love lithium cells. They're great, Marcus. Sellotape can make x-rays. It can Dundee Mink. In a partial vacuum, you have a motor that slowly unwinds it onto... It's simple. It's a motor literally unwinding a roll of sellotape, and it emits x-rays. I don't know if they commercialised that. Not a watch person, Tom? No, I don't wear a watch, Brad. I think crushing sugar does as well. Ah. How long are we going today? Well, so how long have we been going? We've been going for an hour and 40 minutes, so we'll probably make this a 2-hour stream and end probably about 5 or 6 minutes past the next hour. Then I can make a video. And produces graphene at the same time. What? Are you not talking about using sellotape to peel graphene off graphite layers? Because you could do a lot with sellotape, apparently. That's where the first graphene was made, with sellotape, was it not? On a pencil, peeling off literally one molecule thick off the top of the pencil. I'm not really sure. I disassembled and reassembled radios when I was 1479. Was fun too. Reasonable enough. Kirky Bally. Good hobby. It would have been the technology of that time. I don't know why those bottoms-up cups can't have pressure sense. The foaming is the unpredictable bit. You'd need something at the top to detect. Maybe even probes coming down, just when it detected conductivity, it would know it had reached the top. Getting flashbacks to the Therac 25 electron box. Is that the radiation dosing machine that had the slight software problem that if you started a process and then you said, oh no, cancel that, let's go and do this instead, it just stopped in the middle of nowhere and then lost its position? What a horrible... It's one of those things they just didn't realise that people were going to do that. Hagen P is off. Catch you about. What will the vid be on, Clive? Not really sure, Craig Matthews. I do not know yet. The self-sealing envelopes glow when you tear them open. Is that triboluminescence? I think it's triboluminescence, not sure. Like when you bang white quartz pebbles together, you chap them off each other, just strike them off each other in the dark, they'll flash orange. The bottoms up control board has like 3 buttons for different size glasses. I guess they'll just calibrate it with time, Scooter Summers. Weasel Box, I've been so happy to be here tonight. Glad you're enjoying it. Do you remember that video where you smelt that toy, the most horrible smell? New Rock Boy. Which toy was that? Was that the Nosulus Rift? I think it might be the Nosulus Rift fart unit. Not sure. At least it didn't blast full radiation, no, but it still made things bad for people. I have coarse pebbles in my garden. But is it dark enough to see the effect? 45 RPM. As far as I know, you don't need a vacuum. As mentioned, it's triboluminescence. It just emits in a much wider spectrum than expected. Any electronic tat arrive? Electronic tat always arrives from China. I'm trying to think what came through recently. Do you find the extinction petrol an exciting transition? It's going to take a while for petrol to get phased out. engine car is going to be about. Have you seen the people who just hate electric cars, full stop? I'm not sure what that's about. We had an electric van in the T2 this year. It was a full-size Mercedes Sprinter. It was bizarre because it was so quiet that you could hear the power steering and the brakes, all the servos and mechanisms. It was weird, the power-assisted stuff. Benedictine and tonic for drinks tonight. That's quite odd. Do I have Benedictine? I do have Benedictine and I have tonic. I've never considered mixing the two. Should I have a Benedictine and tonic? I've got to try that now. Some people won't want to give up gas. It'll be like cars in Cuba. People do hate change. The venom. It's like, hi, lol, here's what to do with your gasoline car. Park it in front of the chargers. Lol. What are they going to do now? Well, let's park an electric car in front of the diesel pump and see what you do when that happens. Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen, you shallow little Karens. I'm going to have the Benedictine in this same glass. That's terrible. Okay. Maybe not. It's Schweppes tonic water. I shall do it in a whiskey glass. Do it properly. Not a fan of the flammability record thus far. The electric cars or the petrol ones, because the petrol ones just spill gas everywhere when they crash. And people, they post videos and pictures of electric cars crashing. Or if it's a self-driving car, it says, see how dangerous they are crashed. Oh, let me just check. How many human-driven cars crashed in direct ratio? Oh no. I think we can allow the self-driving cars 1 or 2 crashes from time to time. I didn't realise how much Russia has taken to the little delivery robots. It seems to be a big thing in Russia. That's the nice Russians and not the government. You say Schweppes? Nice. Schweppes. Schweppes and Benedictine. Is this going to ruin the Benedictine? Illuminate tonic water with UV? I could do that. It should be visible even with the lights on. Illuminating. It is glowing slightly. That's all right. That is quite nice. I think the key factor here is sugar. That's quite nice. As ex-firefighter can tell you, fuel come out of cars less than 1 in 10,000 times. But what if they are on fire? Should I bypass my electricity meter with a thick wire? Well, no, Julian. Size the wire according to how much power you're going to steal. But also note that many of the cables in the UK for your meter at the point before it splits into the meter, where it's less visible, are coaxial, so piercing it will result in a huge bang. Ukraine appears to have taken to the HIMARS self-delivery system recently. What's that? Oh, is that rockets or something like that? No jokes about that, please. That war's never going to end. Because it's all basically just petulant little bitches, isn't it? That are basically causing genocide. That's not great. Don't approve of that. Don't go electric, drive less instead. Indeed, crazy Phil, but a lot of that's happened with the pandemic. A lot of people have ended up working from home continuously because they found it worked. And it was the emphasis, it was the impetus, should I say, to put this structure in place for that, security. But trades need to drive to jobs. Schweppes worked with the original discoverer of CO2 to make fizzy drinks, Joseph Priestley from near Leeds, Zadster. Reason enough. Yeah, Chris, the self-driving Teslas, they want you to hold the steering wheel, which is why the Amazon products, the little weights you hang the steering wheel to make it so you can have a sleep, not a good idea. I wouldn't trust them yet. There's so many unknown variable things that can happen. Only safe way to have driverless transport is to bring trams into cities operating with sensors, Gaz Young Alive. Well, you'd think that, but the Glasgow Underground has been able to run fully automatically for a long time. But because there's no guards at the edge of, well, no physical guards, barriers at the edge of the platform, it doesn't because it always has human control over it. Because people can climb down onto the rails and walk down the tunnel, as sometimes happens when they're drunk. I'm gonna fucking walk home. Yes. But they could put the barriers of the doors that interlock with them. But it's been able to drive for decades itself. Really, it goes back a long way. Lots of decades. Like it was a really early self-driving system. I was speaking to an electrician the other day. He gets called out to lots of houses to repair that sort of mod mouse. Another thing people used to do, which was also a bad idea, because it always left telltale marks. They used to stick the wires up either side of the meter. If you stick just a thin bit of wire up, because the resistance of the wire is somewhat higher than the shunt inside, it won't actually, you'd think bypassing the meter would make it stop, but it doesn't. It will slow it down very slightly because some current will flow through that. But they used to use devices called retarders. They wouldn't be allowed to call them that day because of like political correctness. But the retarders were basically a microwave oven transformer with a heavy secondary wound on, and you stuck the probes up and it passed a current out of phase by 180 degrees through the meter so that it actually spun backwards. But they wouldn't work with digital meters, and also it left marks because you were passing high current. You'd leave burn marks. You could see where people had been poking the wires up them. So not a good idea. Has Clive discontinued the radium gin? The radium gin, Graham Shaw, is up there, hiding behind the little mini hexputer as sold by Evolution on his Etsy site. It's still there, but I just moved on to things of known safety, not drain dye, which was very stylish, but I've not done that in a while. Only on a TNCS system, Clive. It'll work on any system, the Chipmunk. Even a TT system, because you can plug it into live and neutral, those things. But there was this thing, bizarre, it's really weird. It was a 3-wire system they used. They had a clip that went onto an earth pipe, a metal pipe in the vicinity, which was just bizarre, and got its live feed to earth from the incoming side of the meter. Or I suppose to the outcoming side. The main thing is you'd have to put leads around the right way, otherwise the meter would spin forwards quickly, which wouldn't be good for your bill. But they used to have this earth, and if you got them, you had to put the earth clip on first. But because people who used these were not technically inclined, if they pulled the earth off first, it was live at full mains voltage. So yeah, that's odd. The early fix for that was a little flag that came out. When it detected it was going backwards, it pushed a little flag out. The digital meter's not so sure because they can theoretically detect current going back onto the grid. I'm not sure that'd go, but they have stuff to detect you stuffing probes into wires and up their orifices. Good job, Craig. You got it again. That was 2 in quick succession. So for reference, Evolution has put a link up there. For reference, the little mini hexputer has the same number of LEDs as the full size one, I believe, but it's just much more condensed. The LEDs are literally shoulder to shoulder. And it's got better construction by the look of it as well. So I shall be building one of those at some point. Manual hung, people used to use photonegatives to slide into meter case and stop the wheel. Okay, so there's a lip around the meter case to stop that, and people used to carefully gouge a little slot out. Except my neighbour in Glasgow, who just cut a huge slot that you could have stuck coins through and stuck the film in. And of course, one of the standard tests when they're checking your meter out is to run your fingers round the seam and feel any roughness. You can immediately feel where it's been tampered with. And well, they didn't have to, they could have stuck their fingers in. So that's when he got charged. And put in a prepay meter. Ah, but there's another thing. If the meter's on a board, you could tilt the old ones forward, and it stopped the wheels apparently. But I'm not sure. Most of them are screwed up nice and tight. This isn't through experience. I don't diddle things. But for reference, I think you have to get caught actually doing it or actually having physically damaged the meter. Something that leaves evidence that you were doing something that wasn't a historic event of a previous occupant. Modern meters check whether the current in live is the same as live neutral. Not so sure. If you try and saturate the current transformers with a strong magnet, they have Hall sensors to detect as well. I did spot the Hall sensors in one of the unit. Don't know. I'm sure there'll be a complete industry based around people taking meters apart and then reverse doing it for people. But that's the thing that the barras in Glasgow, the marketplace, had the under-counter devices, the retarders that were made that did this. Terrible idea. People would stick the two probes up live and neutral and then blow the meter off the wall. It's just learn how to save electricity. Don't try and cheat the meter. It doesn't end well. That was all right. I could have another of those. The Benedictine and tonic works really well. I want a computer thing not based on self-blink LEDs. Mark and Gooley, someone has done that. Maybe driven by a microcontroller, several. They used a microcontroller and addressable LEDs, but there's a problem. Writing software to emulate one of these supercomputers would require a timer for every single LED. And if you look at how many LEDs are in some of them, that's a lot. I've seen someone else's attempt, but you can see all the LEDs change at once. And it's a randomizer, but they all change together. It doesn't have the randomness of the individual flashing LEDs or the simplicity. But talking of addressable LED arrays, I've just placed an order with AliExpress for, and we'll see if this works, a Wi-Fi module that receives from LED Art, an app called LED Art, for controlling signage. Have you ever seen these shop window displays? It's video display with the coloured text going along and the border around the edge, and it's just done in LED video wall panels. That's it. That's what that controller does. So you just plug your Hub 75 modules end to end, power them and this little module, and then connect it by Wi-Fi from your phone. You can program it from your phone. I wonder if MD ever changes the password, the code from 8888888888, or if you could just sit outside their shop and just change the message. I bet you can change it. I bet they don't have that security. I've ordered that and a couple of modules, and we'll see what happens. It's basically it's quite a cheap lesson in basically how to use these panels and program and stuff like that. Oh, now I have to change the combination of my luggage fan plant. Indeed. 100% off fire sale, that's it. We sell drugs and things like that. Sex toys available here. Clive, do you like Tina Turner? I recommend listening to What's Love Got to Do? What's Love Got to Do with It? I'm not that young. John Possum. I do remember that when it came out, and it was a pretty good track. Benedictine. I'll shake my Benedictine. I don't think you should shake your Benedictine, but I will. Ralph gave me this. Hi, Clive from HWD, California. Zeus of Hollywood. Hollywood of California. Aha. Greetings back to Hollywood. Donna Summer's I Feel Love, indeed, Weaselbox. All that music from that year was pretty good. So here's another Benedictine going in. Slightly frothy Benedictine now, I've shaken it. The Benedictine and tonic actually worked really well. That was surprising. Yes, may have to share that one. That's pretty good. Tina Turner and Mr. T would have made a good couple. Can you use shift registers to randomize LEDs? Well, J-Gope. A common thing for creating random displays in the past was the linear feedback shift register, where you gated off with an exclusive OR gate off a couple of points in it, and you can emulate that in software. LFSR, linear feedback shift register, it creates a continuous stream of random bits, and if you look at my last video wall video, I've just spilt that everywhere. If you look at my last video wall video where I wrote some software for testing the panels in with a PIC microcontroller, just a bit of assembly code. I'm just going to mop this up. I have a mopping device here. It's used a linear feedback shift register for the randomization effect, but it kept resetting it, incrementing it by 1 to actually move the randomization pattern through. They're looking at... Fun fact, Tina Turner's knees are never touched. Okay. I love the overall effect of the wide yellow supercomputer. Very relaxing, but it'd be good to stop cars from going too far. The wide supercomputer is designed to go into a 19-inch rack mounting system. Also available from Evolution. Probably held post. Someone got done for that here. He inductively coupled to some grid lines and used the power to light a barn. I'm not so sure that's real, Chipmunk. I don't think you can do that. Putting a coil under power lines, if there was that enough power just leaking out, it'd be shunted by the ground and it would be very wasteful. Paul Norman's off to bed. Good night. I Feel Love was also recorded by Bronski Beat. Beat by, hit that perfect beat by, Gazon Live indeed. Kirky Ballet, Commodore PCs were MediaTape 90-minute game ready. They'd not have 90 minutes to load a game though. I remember that powering story, so do I, Jackson. I remember all the other fake stories of people who stole power and it was just a load of nonsense. Jack Jackson, it was a hoax. Yeah, there are many hoaxes. You can eliminate fluorescent tubes at HT power lines, but output as weak it is, it's the voltage gradient. You basically stand underneath Voltaire 2M stereo. It is affected by environmental conditions as well. You hold a fluorescent tube over your head and the voltage gradient under a high voltage transmission line will make it glow in a dark environment, but it's a very faint glow. It's just barely stimulate it. Hedgehogs do steal power, Jonas. Wee bastards. I'm eating Werther's original caramel chews pumpkin spice flavour. They're awesome. I've never heard of that, Zane the Magic Puffer Dragon. Sat watching hedgehogs while listening to you, Clive, so relaxing. Mark Hodgson. I get hedgehogs here. They've got this bad tendency of trying to drink from the cat's water bowl out in the outside and tipping it over in the process. I put a hedgehog proof one out instead that doesn't tip over. Jaeger time. It is kind of Jaeger time. Oh. Let me think. Is the IOM energy independent, Clive? No. Just when if power's increased and cost much, it's not, theoretically, but that will change. We do generate some power by burning our rubbish, but we used to have oil-powered generators, but they shut them down and decommissioned them for some reason, and they get their power via an underground undersea cable. To dance music for the 1980s. Not sure where that came from. Maybe I should have drunk a toast to the Benedictine monks. I could drink a toast to the Benedictine monks. Oh, that would seem irony. Hold on. I'll pour a Benedictine toast. I shall pour Benedictine into a little shot glass. A communion glass, no less. To the Benedictine monks for defying God and creating booze. And technically speaking, they didn't really, a lot of wine spilling about. I don't know where these religious people are all about temperance, because apparently Jesus drank quite a lot of wine and converted water into wine, so not really a position for temperance there. Tom Houston, 1980s, rest in peace. Toast to all monks. Julian Eilert, no, not the Buckfast Abbey monks. No, no, no. For their evil drink. Franco Walker, I love disco. The transition from disco to electronic was great. Do Benedictine monks dance? They do if they drink enough, Glenn. Benedictine with iron brew, I'm not sure. That would be overwhelmingly sickly. Safety dance? Do the safety dance? No. I don't do safety. Marky and Gully, Benedictine was not invented by Benedictine. Benedictine was not invented by monks, but some French guy. Aha. 90s to 2000, much better. No, Voltar 2M stereo. The 80s were just epic from an electronic level, so that's where I'd go back to. Late 70s, get a job. I'd go back to the mid 1970s, get a job as a lift engineer so I could get familiar with all the electromechanical control systems that were used and all the weird Otis shit that was out at that time. The fantastic, inventive Otis shit. And then I'd transition into, because of my superior knowledge due to internet and cheating and time travel, I would then get a job in a seaside arcade as a maintenance technician when the video game boom happened. And boy, did they go boom. Oh, the rule of St. Benedict were the inventors of modern management. Well, that's not so good, Gons the Great. The Buckfast Abbey monks, they do wrong. They're always fighting wrong way, and they smash that green glass everywhere. The place is just littered with green glass and blood. I switched out to providers. I'm now paying about a third more. Horovac, yeah, it's all deceptive advertising. Can you get a CR2032? No, Hellhound, you can't. The stream is going on for another 7 minutes, just so you get decent warning of the end. It will end at 15 minutes past the hour. Video did actually kill one radio star, Fred Allen. I'm not sure about that. What happened there, Mark and Gully? Oh, yes, Bob S. I would take a list of the winning lottery numbers. I would, and also I'd invest in Apple initially and maybe Google and all the other ones. And I'd buy quite a lot of Bitcoin. I'd get right into that. Oh, yeah, early on. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. Which could play an arcade game and crush you? What? Weasel Box? Buckfast did bees too. Oh, right, okay. I always hate when people spill their drinks in arcade games, Jacks, and this is why they have sloping tops, but sometimes those sloping tops lead to vents. Get a countdown clock, indeed. All the fake invest. I don't know if you're getting the same thing, but the adverts that are appearing are, hi, if you'd got in with me, you'd have been a millionaire, but you can still get in and become a billionaire for doing absolutely fuck all. No, get yourself a trade and then you will have consistent income regardless, and these people will gamble and go bust, but they'll never tell you that. Used to work at an arcade mid-90s. Jackson, just in a way, back then you didn't have access to the data we have now. Gonna sneeze. And that wasn't caused by ginger beer. Love the arcade repair videos. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, and they have hindsight now. Back then, the guys that worked in the music arcades repairing the machines were usually TV engineers because it was like mainly about the monitor. And it was pretty hard tracing faults, particularly in the vector systems. Now you look at like Arcade Jason and stuff like that, just bang out circuit boards that replace whole massive circuit boards with a tiny little circuit board that slots in the same slot. It's fun to see how many of the same face you spot in commercial for the different gurus. Yes, indeed. Actors are the same person, indeed. Arcade games are dead. TDO Brandano, some of them are pretty ageless, and like Tempest will still be very playable. PCBs and pinball machines are shrunk. They have, Crazy Phil. It's there's so much processing power. Compared to it used to be all discrete stuff. Also surface mount. Nothing like the giant old circuit board in arcades, indeed Weaselbox, that you could actually trace faults to individual sections of spaceships and stuff like that, because everything was basically, it was the processor, like a Z80 or whatever, was controlling the game, and it didn't have to deal with all the sprites. It just said, this sprite, this spaceship is going to be here in the screen, and the rest of the hardwired circuitry would make the spaceship, and with EPROMs, the color map and the graphics, would put that sprite there. So all it had to do was keep track of numbers moving about on the screen. Very clever. Like the old arcade games. Weird. It's great when they have faults and you get multiple spaceships appearing, or the starfield just disappears in the back. Jack Attack. The stream is about to end in 3 minutes, so have a quick pish. Clive, will we see a new Christmas light this year? I'm not so sure, Snooker Loopy. I don't really know. Snooky Looper. Yes, Snooker Loopy. How can you test a shift register chip is working, Brendan Elton? Well, interestingly, something of that came up recently in a forum I look at. It was a lift engineering forum, and it was an Otis card, and all the LEDs were stuck on the interface. And the reason was probably a damaged chip in a shift register that actually took the serial data from the processor and then drove the LEDs as a parallel array. But the only way you could do it is put it into a chip tester, or you could emulate the data going in, but you might have to take it out and just rough it up on a breadboard to actually test it. The stream is ending in 2 minutes. Ish. Kirky Ballet, actors equal pretenders equal rehearsal, basically crap. Drive the clock annually. What? John Bosom, what? You got to suck this stash, it's like a Venturi. Wrong way indeed. That upsets some people. Which stream next? 45 RPM. Tricky. There will be an official Patreon stream on Thursday. A lot quieter. Whereas there are about 900 here, there'll be about a tenth of that on the Patreon stream. So it's a lot quieter. Almost too slow, the chat. I have to work a bit harder to make conversation during it. The B-bass Otis from the early 80s. Not sure, Norm Swan, what it is. But you basically, people say, well, I'm condemning that whole unit because the display's unusable, but you just know it's just one of those surface mount chips. So not the 80s. No, it wouldn't be from the 80s. That's fairly recent board then, because it is surface mount chips. You just know that one of those surface mount chips is probably dead, and the fact that it's in the vicinity of the keyboard on the circuit board means that someone probably did an electrostatic discharge into it by going up to it and touching it, or something like that, and it's just blown a chip. And the whole thing gets condemned because of that. Does it get thrown away or does it get repaired? And now in the top shelf, says Glenn Marina. What? Don't bother me, says Weaselbox. What? Big, huge woofle? I could end on a woofle. Yes, I shall end the woofle. I shall also end by drinking more of this Benedictine tonic. Very sweet and aromatic. That's quite nice. I shall do a woofle. Are you ready? Hold on, what's Mick Spanner disclosing here? I'm scrolling back, scrolling back. Clive's always naked on Patreon, so we're all a bit speechless to be fair. There was porn on Patreon, I'm sorry. It's the closest we got to like OnlyFans. It was Topless Clive, released as a Patreon only video. My neighbours duped me. They said they thought a wasp had gone up the shirt of my sleeve, and I took my t-shirt off and then they filmed me with the t-shirt off. But they didn't tell me they were filming. I thought they were taking a photo. We were joking about OnlyFans. Then they sent me the video that they'd made afterwards of me going, yes, indeed. Terrible neighbours. They work in the entertainment industry. Why not release the OnlyFans videos to the rest of the world? Because that's for OnlyFans smoke. And we don't just give that away for free. If you want to see porn, you have to pay. That's how the internet works. Unless you can find the stolen porn videos. But anyway, till next Saturday, or if you're a patron, till next Thursday, have a good week. Well, I'll be releasing videos as usual. I've got more technical stuff on order. I've got power supplies here to take a look at, and faulty products, including a USB socket that blew smoke and flames out its ports. So those videos will be made soon and put up on Patreon initially. Sorry, I've actually been putting out a lot of videos recently. But you'll get it in the future, it's fine. But that's not me pushing Patreon, but it's a really great place to be. No. But anyway, have a good week. And it's only $1. Yes, and I shall catch you next Saturday. Or, if you're a patron, on Thursday. Ta-ta. Awkward moment. Very awkward.